Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to do an end zone with Photoshop CS2. Photoshop CS2 and Paint Pro 9, which I'll also do another video on, are old, but they are available online, freely available. Are they supposed to be? I don't know. They're not necessarily on shady websites, and if you want to be adventurous, I'll point you in that direction. Just let me know. But I've installed them both on my Windows 10 machine and they seem to work just fine. But we will start with Photoshop CS2. I'll do another video for Paint Pro 9. And it's actually really easy. Once you see me do it, if you've not done it before, you'll realize how easy it is. This pops up every time with Photoshop. Just hit Do Not Register. Then go to File, Open, and whatever template you use is up to you. I have the Memphis Showboats Endzone from the USFL mod. The 84 season is where you'll find them. And the reason I use it is because it's cut perfectly. I've already filled it in with a color, so it's a solid, but it is cut perfectly, and I'll show you why. If you haven't noticed before, and I hadn't actually noticed it at first, but end zones, if they're a full background color, down here it will cover the pylon on the field. So you have to have this little notch. And this one is cut perfectly. The edges stop right at the white lines of the end zone, and this notch lets the pylon show through. These pylons are fine. They're not blocked in any way, but because they're right on the corners. But this one would technically be underneath that color because the end zone is layered on top. So that notch allows the pylon to cut through. And if it's a transparent background where you have just text or an image, it's no big deal. You don't have to worry about it. But if you have a solid color background, then this notch allows the pylon through. But other than that, this is all you need. And even if you don't want to use a solid background for your end zone, you can leave this here for now as a guide for lining up letters or an image, because they'll be on a different layer. And then you can get rid of this afterward. But when you want to, if you notice up here it says 200%, so I've got it zoomed in. And if I click again, it's zoomed in even more. And if you hold it on a specific part, it'll zoom to that part. But when you're done zooming in and you want to get back to the 100%, just click actual pixels. You could do the negative and zoom back out, but the quick way is just click actual pixels and now you're back to 100%. So here's the text. And that's all we're going to do in this one, is just put text. Putting an image on would be pretty much the same thing, and I may do a separate one for that, just in case anyone's having trouble. But you would basically load this end zone, then you'd load an image, make sure it's the right size, and then you'd copy it and then paste it onto this one as onto another layer, and you would create a layer over here. But we're just going to do text. So here's the text tool. So click that. And this is where you choose your fonts. This is, I think that's if it's regular, italic, bold. This may not have that. This is the size. 200 for little short words, depending on the font, is good. But if you want to make it smaller, you can. These are preset sizes, and you can also just type in a size you want. And this is the anti-aliasing. It makes the letters smooth around the edges. Make sure it is smooth. If you set it to these, it gets a little rougher, but set it to smooth. And this you don't have to worry about. This is the color of the text. So if you want to make it, say, dark blue, I'll select this color band to get in the general area, then go over here and you can drag this around and change the color. As you see, it changes up here as you drag it around. But when you're happy with it, just let it go and then click OK. And now you can see you're at a different color. So I'll go over here by the edge, left click, and now you can type. And if if you want to change anything about the text, make sure it's highlighted. Otherwise, the changes won't affect it. So highlight the text, and then you can change any part of it you'd like. If you want to change the size, you can. You can change the color again if you'd like, whichever one you want. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. But anyway, if you're done and you're happy with the text, go ahead up here to the check mark. And now you're out of the edit mode. But before you go any further and transform it, this is still a text layer as opposed to a regular layer, a raster layer. So you want to make this a raster layer. So right click right there on your text layer and find rasterize type. And then click that. And now it's just a regular layer. And now it's really easy to manipulate. So go to Edit, Free Transform. And you'll see these little boxes on the corners and in the middle. To transform it and get it in place, you don't really need the ones in the middle yet. So let's start down here. Try not to cross over. Like if you select it and go like that, it'll screw it up. So I just try to go from the outsides and not get too tricky with this. But hover your mouse over the box you want to move, hold Control, then left click and drag, and then you put it where you want it. Then go up here. You can still keep holding down the Control. Go up here, left click and drag, and still holding Control. Move to here, left click, drag, and then here, left click and drag, and there you go. You notice the letters are a little jagged around the edges. That's just because you're in edit mode. Once you finish, they'll smooth back out. But if you need to move it in a little, go ahead. You know, this is all your preference. Yeah, but then once you're happy with it, go up here to the check mark, click. Now you're done. Now, these two layers, sometimes, depending on what you're doing, you might have to merge layers, but you don't have to worry about that here. Just leave these as they are. If you want the color background, then just do the file, save as, and then make sure that format is PNG. So it's defaults at Photoshop, but click that, scroll down, and there's PNG. And then click that. And then the name, I usually call mine template, Endzone left, template, Endzone right, but I hadn't got to that point yet. But if this is for, say, the cowpokes, Endzone left, and you can get rid of this copy part. It puts that on there so you don't overwrite your main file that you were working with. But that is ready to go. Cowpokes Endzone left. So wherever your Cowpokes Endzone folder is, save it there. But I'm not going to do that because this is just a tutorial. Now, if you don't want this color layer, just hide it. Just click that eyeball, and I'm pretty sure it will work. I haven't tried this yet. Save as, and I'm just going to save it here for kicks. Change the name. Cowpokes. Oops. Endzone left, but it's PSD, so let me go back down. It resets every time, so you'll have to select PNG again. The rest of this you don't really have to do anything with. Just make sure you're in the right folder that you want to save it to. So let me save it. And this pops up, interlace, none. Just click OK. So let's go to File, go to Browse, and this is a cool feature of Photoshop. Paint Shop Pro has it too. Click Browse, and then you'll see I already had it open to this folder, but if you're not in the folder you just saved it to, over here you can find, you know, your folder. And you would need to find Documents, Pro Strategy Football 2023, and Images and all that. But I've saved it to a different folder, the one that I work in all the time. But there it is. That's the one we just did. No background. And like I said, if you'd wanted the background, you just wouldn't click the eye. But if you notice, it merged both of the layers that were there before. So you can't mess with anything that you had messed with before. But you know, that's why you just make sure everything is the way you want it before you hit that little check mark up there, before, you know, back when you were working on it. But anyway, that's it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Control Shift drag and just put everything into place, and it looks great. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll do the Paint Shop Pro 9 version here shortly.